What is up, YouTube? Sacred Aesthetics here, and I wanted to talk to you guys about. Sorry about my dorm room, it's a fucking mess. Anyway, wanted to talk to you guys about trying to cut weight on a high carb, low fat diet. Let me just say this. Trying to lose weight while eating a lot of carbs is kind of like putting your car, or trying to drive forward by putting your car in reverse. You know what I'm saying? Now, for those of you that don't know, carbs are not essential for the human body, okay? You have protein and fat, which are essential. Carbs are not essential, and we're not going to talk about alcohol, because alcohol. So, why are you eating so many carbs and not enough fat? Because if you want to lose fat, you got to eat a lot of fat, okay? Even saturated fat. Stop thinking that fat is bad, because it's not. Your body is made of fat. All the cells in your body are made of fat, okay? If any of you guys know anything about biology and the cell, you guys know that you need fat, okay? Fat and protein, because that's what this is, man. Protein. You don't need carbs, so why eat them? There's a lot of things wrong with eating carbs in these high carb diets, which I'll get into in other videos, but essentially stop dieting on carbs. If you want to lose fat, not burn muscle, you got to take the carbs out completely. Less than 50 grams a day, most of those being fiber from like spinach, kale, asparagus, mushrooms. There's tons of fibrous leafy green veggies that you can eat to help you get enough fiber. All right, but you don't need carbs. All these people telling you gotta eat fruit, you gotta eat oatmeal, you gotta eat this shit to burn. No, stop. No, you don't need it. You gotta get fat and protein, okay? Fat, especially if you eat egg whites and you're trying to either gain muscle or lose weight, you're doing it wrong, okay? If you eat lean protein, you're doing it wrong. The fat and the cholesterol inside the egg yolk is where all the nutrition is. It's what your body wants, okay? You don't want to just get protein, because protein by itself really is really nothing unless you, it's obviously protein is good, but if you're not getting all the vitamins and minerals that are in the yolk of the egg, you're not getting the optimum thing that you want to get from the egg, okay? So the fat and the cholesterol in the egg, which is mostly made up of saturated fat, okay? Saturated fat is good for you. Don't think it's bad. Stop that. It's a misconception that everyone thinks saturated fat is bad for you, but it's not. The saturated fat and the cholesterol in the egg actually helps your body produce testosterone in your testicles. So for you guys out there who are trying to lift heavy ass weights and build muscle with low testosterone levels, you can see where that's going wrong, right? There was a study conducted between two groups of people, okay? And Jim Stepani, if you guys know bodybuilding.com, Jim Stepani, PhD, is a doctor, he knows what he's talking about. He talks about this too in his Shortcut to Shred, or Shortcut to Size, I think, too. There's a study between two groups of people. One group ate 3 eggs a day, the second group didn't eat any eggs at all, and they were following the same program. And the group that ate the eggs with the yolk gained twice as much muscle in the set time as compared to the other group that wasn't eating the eggs. So saturated fat in the egg yolk and the cholesterol in the egg yolk are superfoods, man. Eat the hell out of them. I mean, eggs have always been known to put on muscle, man. It's even in Disney songs. You ever hear Gaston? I ate 6 dozen eggs, and now I eat 12 dozen eggs, something like that. I don't remember how it goes, but he eats a shit ton of eggs, right? Because he's a big boy. If you want to put on muscle, you gotta eat eggs, you gotta eat steak, you gotta eat salmon, you gotta eat a shit ton of fat, man. Fat is good for you. Fat is gonna help you put on muscle. All right. So if you want to look up that study for yourself, really interesting, but it's obvious why they put on more muscle. All right. Now, why are these high carb diets, low fat diets, such a problem for society? Well, think about people who have low testosterone, low T. This is a disease. Why? Because we tell people, or at least the American Heart Association, because they know everything, right? No. they tell people eat low fat, especially low saturated fat, because God, saturated fat is so bad for you, right? No. These people get low T because they don't eat enough meat, they don't even eat enough steak, they don't eat enough salmon, they don't eat enough egg yolks, they don't eat enough fat, man. You gotta eat fat. Fat! Fat is good for you, man. So, again, carbs are non-essential and fats are essential, and so is protein. So all you need is protein, fat. Eat what you are, consume what you are. Fat, protein, shit ton of water. Shit ton of water. Okay? And don't be afraid of sodium, because sodium, especially for people who lift, most people who are very active are electrolyte deficient, which means instead of drinking that Gatorade, you can put fucking salt in water and you get the same result. So, in fact, even better, because you won't fuck up your teeth, one, and two, you're not getting sugar from the Gatorade itself, which is, again, really bad, because sugar, some of you guys might be asking, well, why is dieting on carbs so bad? Well, see, if you want to lose weight, you don't want to spike your insulin levels, because insulin is what causes you to store fat and to keep fat. That's what insulin does. Now, insulin is a hormone that gets released when you consume carbohydrates, okay? Carbs, when you eat them, get broken down into sugar. Sugar gets in your blood, spikes insulin. Insulin allows your body to use that energy, but when you don't use that energy, guess what it does? It stores fat, okay? So it is possible to lose weight when you eat carbs, but it's not optimal, okay? It makes no sense to try to burn fat while you're putting on fat, right? Because every time you consume carbs, you're essentially putting on fat. Now, I mean, you could burn that fat throughout the day, and it's not like a lot of fat. Think about putting in small amounts of fat, like grams and grams of fat. It's not a lot. I mean, it takes a while to put on a pound of fat, okay? So, why would you want to put on fat when you're trying to lose fat? Okay, you don't need carbs to lose body fat, and you won't burn muscle, because when you eat a lot of fat, I mean, if you guys know what the keto diet is, you're getting into ketosis, which the names are really stupid. You don't have to think about the names, because don't give it a name. It's not a diet. It's not a fat diet. It's what you're supposed to eat. You're supposed to eat fat and protein, and you're supposed to drink a lot of water. You're not made to eat carbs. You can okay, carbs, they're not essential for the body. You don't need them to live, but they're there for survival purposes. Okay, our bodies evolved to, in case of food shortages, or just in the animal kingdom, the fattest bird is usually the most attractive. Now, why is the fattest creature more attractive than the skinny bird? Because to the female bird, the male bird is well fed. So obviously that's attractive. But I mean, now when we have an abundance of food, the thing that's attractive is being really thin. So we don't need an excess of carbs, because we're not trying to survive every damn day, right? We don't have food shortages, at least not here in America, because we have an abundance of food. I don't understand how people can be starving when we have so much food. It's not a food production problem, it's a food distribution problem. Okay, so essentially, if say you lived, I don't know how long ago, before we even before we constructed society and developed networks of communication, we were just trying to survive on our own. Excuse me. Carbs were really hard to come by. All we really had was to catch stuff. Berries were really bitter. They weren't as high in sugar as they are today. So even the carbohydrate count before then was really, really low. And so anytime that you would get carbs, that would store fat, and fat would, storing fat means more energy. More energy means longer possible survival. It was a survival mechanism. Don't think that you're smarter than your body, because your body will prove you wrong every time, okay? Now, it makes no sense to run every day on glucose, which is what you get when you eat a ton of carbs, okay? Your body is designed to burn fat. That's why we store it. Now, how stupid of an evolutionary adaptation would it be to store body fat and then not be able to use it? We would have died out. Using your body fat should be easy, and it should be an energy source that's easily accessible for the body. Now, how do you make this energy source easily acceptable or accessible for the body to use as energy. Well, it's easy. You just eat more fat. You'll get into the state of ketosis, which is the breakdown of fat into ketones, which is ketones are the byproduct of fat once you burn it and start using it. Okay. Now there are certain types of ketones, and they get a bad rap because of diabetes and ketoacidosis. Which you guys can do research on that. Look up what ketoacidosis is. There's a really interesting video about ketoacidosis versus ketosis or nutritional ketosis, which is completely different. And in fact, a lot of people on diabetes or who have diabetes will benefit a whole lot from not eating carbs, obviously because they can't produce enough insulin. So if you can produce insulin, you gotta inject that shit. Why would you eat bread? Why would you eat carbs? Don't eat carbs. Eat fat. Your bodies are gonna fix themselves essentially, and you're not gonna have the symptoms of diabetes or a lot of things, man. Diseases are caused by a lot of carbs, and that's because we we bleach our carbs. God, if you eat white bread, cut that shit out, man. Don't eat the white bread, because I don't know if you guys know this, man, but a lot of people try to commit suicide by drinking bleach. There was a girl recently, I don't know how long ago it was, maybe a year ago. She tried drinking bleach to kill herself. She was being bullied by some bitches, man, some female assholes. And she was a girl too, so I mean, I'm not against females, don't think about that, but these girls were bitches, I can say that, okay? So she was bullied to the point that she became suicidal, and she drank bleach. Now, fortunately and slightly unfortunately, she survived, but you get the point. Drinking bleach is not a good idea, right? So if you wouldn't drink bleach, if I were to offer you a glass of bleach, would you drink it? Your answer is probably no, and that's good. If it's yes, seek help. But if you said no, you wouldn't drink bleach. So why would you eat bleached flour? Just think about that, okay? It's not a good idea, and it's not really surprising as to why it's causing so many diseases and, you know, things like maybe even autism. I mean, I haven't done enough research to really tell you that these things cause everything. But over-consuming carbohydrates is easily the reason for obesity, a ton of cancer, obviously diabetes, because I mean diabetes is, hopefully you guys understand why. But it's you don't need carbs to live or to function properly or even lift weights. If you think if you're a bodybuilder and if you eat egg whites and you eat your oatmeal every morning, man, rethink stuff, man. Go out and do some research, okay? Don't listen to the American Heart Association that promotes high carb diets, low fat diets, and moderate protein. Oh, your protein's gotta be lean, right? Oh, no. Okay? Your protein should be fat as fuck, okay? I mean, I'm not saying it should be 100% fat, 1% protein, but I mean, 20 grams of fat and like 15 grams of protein for like a steak, that's good. That's good, okay? You don't need everybody overeats their protein. If you are a bodybuilder, or you bodybuild for fun, it's like your hobby, which is what I do. I'm more of like a bodybuilder slash getting into powerlifting, so power bodybuilder. Shout out to Michael Hearn. But anyway, if you're into fitness, generally you shouldn't be eating high carb diets. You don't need carbs to lift. You don't need carbs to function well. You don't need carbs for anything. And if you eat a ton of fat, you're gonna put on a shit ton of muscle because your testosterone levels are gonna be high as fuck. You're gonna have energy, constant energy. When you're in a state of ketosis, you're not running. You ever get tired when you eat carbs? There's a reason for that, because you run out of them. Because when you don't use the carbs when you need to, and you never know when you need to use the carbs, because you know they're digesting in your stomach. You don't know when to use them, but I mean you could try to understand when you need to use them, but you never really know 100%. So it's obvious that you run out of glucose eventually at one point, and that's when you crash. That's when you get tired. Bad things happen. That's why people who diet on low carbs and low fat, like they cut calories from their carbs and they're still eating low fat, they're so out of energy and they feel like shit. And you can ask any natural bodybuilder who's dieted for a show this way. It sucks. It fucking sucks. Not only that, but these high carb diets promote binging. I myself am guilty of binging, purging, you name it. I'm not gonna fucking lie to you guys, okay? It sucks. It fucking sucks because you have no energy. You're not getting enough fat, and you know you look at these delicious sugary treats, right? And I'm on a meal plan, so these treats are just laid out in front of me. tons of cookies, tons of cupcakes, endless ice cream, okay? It's a fucking buffet. You think I didn't overeat? Man, I've binged at least like 3 times on this college meal plan, man. It sucks. Now, I mean, I'm stopped now because obviously I'm not on that fucking high carb shit. Doing enough research and, you know, understanding the human body and the biochemistry and the physiology, you kind of learn, and you fix your mistakes, and it's good because not only when you eat fat, a lot of fat, or you know, not even a lot of fat, but fat in general, it slows down digestion. Now, what does that do? It one, it makes you feel fuller longer, and two, it allows for your body to digest everything and take in everything. So like if you digest something that's super quick, I mean, your body can only take so much before it just passes it through, you know? So this is why fat-free desserts are such a stupid idea. They're stupid. If you ever eat fat-free yogurt or fat-free whatever the fuck it is, fat-free cookies or low-fat cookies or low-fat whatever the fuck it is, you're not doing yourself a favor, because fat would slow down the digestion of the sugar, of whatever sugary treat it is, you know, these fat-free desserts. Fat-free, usually anything that's fat-free or lower in fat, you know, reduced fat, is usually upped in carbs, okay, a lot of times. And you can look at this yourself on the nutritional label. Like, say a cookie is 7 grams of fat, 15 grams of carbs, and 1 protein. If you take it low fat, then it's 2 grams of fat, at least that's how it is for my school, 33 grams of sugar, and 1 gram of protein, I think. But you come to a problem because instead of, you're not letting the fat slow down the digestion, so now you're just getting a shit ton of sugar in your bloodstream. It spikes insulin super high, and you're bound to store body fat. So all these people doing if it fits your macros and promoting, you know, I mean, it's good to eat. I'm not telling you never eat carbs ever again, because we all deserve our cheat meals. We all deserve to celebrate holidays. You know, it's all good to have a treat every now and then. But on a general daily basis, you should not be consuming, you know, 100 grams, even 700 grams of carbs. No, it's not. Even if you're good on carbs, okay? Now, another thing, and I think I might do this in another video, but hard gainers, okay, if you're a hard gainer, you're eating a shit ton of carbs and you're not gaining weight, stop eating carbs. You're obviously not sensitive to carbs, and there's a reason for that, and it's probably because you're not getting enough fat, okay? Get more fat. Okay, this is what I want you to do. I want you guys to try this, okay? If you're a hard gainer, you can't gain muscle mass, okay? I'm not a hard gainer, obviously. I'm an easy gainer, which is not necessarily a muscle, but what I want you guys to do is cut out carbs for at least 2 weeks, like a week or 2 weeks, okay? Keep your protein pretty high, keep your fats high as hell. You're still trying to gain, right? So keep your fats super high, higher than your protein. Your calories from fat should very well outnumber the calories from protein. And then 2 weeks later, I want you guys to keep eating the same amount of calories from protein and fat, but now add carbs. Your body is going to be sensitive to carbs at this point because it's not getting anything. You're going to get an enzymatic shift. Your enzymes in your stomach are going to shift from digesting glucose and carbs to fat. And then as soon as you get the carbs in later, after, you know, say, call it fasting or carb fasting, I guess you could call it, your body's going to be so sensitive to carbohydrates, it's going to spike insulin, it's going to, you know, get you where you want to be. It's going to cause you to gain weight, because that's really what carbs do. They cause you to gain weight. But if you want to gain muscle mass, you got to get your testosterone levels high. You got to get your protein high. Okay, you don't really get fat from overeating fat, because fat doesn't spike insulin. Fat only does wonders for your body. Okay, fat is what you need to be consuming all the time with all your meals. No excuses. Okay, don't listen to anyone that tells you otherwise, because I mean, go ahead and try it, but I mean, you're gonna feel like shit. You're gonna be hungry. You're not gonna be healthy. You risk disease. I mean, it's stupid, and it's sick that we live in a world that, or at least in America, because it's really just America, that promotes high carb diets with low fat. Going low fat is dangerous. Okay, like I said, low T, and then fats play a really big role in inflammation, in fixing your body, in so much, okay? In hormone regulation. If you ever go low fat and you get depressed, well, bitch, eat a shit ton of fat, because that's why. You're not eating enough fat to produce enough hormone. Your hormones are out of whack because you're not eating enough fat. So eat more fat, eat more protein. carbs are not essential, okay? First video, welcome to Sacred Aesthetics, and I'm gonna keep making a lot of these informational videos, and hopefully you guys will learn something new about the human body and bodybuilding and fitness and health. Okay, I want to change some lives. Okay, I don't want you guys to be caught in the fucking loop. Okay, because this is why doctors are so rich. This is why disease is through the roof these days, because we're promoting these high carb diets and telling people not to eat fat, man. We started a fat phobia. That's not good, man. You want to eat fat. Okay? If you don't believe me, open up a fucking textbook. Look up what insulin does in the body. Look at what fat does in the body. Don't listen to me. I did my research already. You do your research, all right? Think research fat. Don't believe it. If it says saturated fat is bad for you and causes heart disease and cholesterol is bad for you, then don't trust that site because they don't know what they're fucking talking about. But do your research, okay? Go out, learn for yourself. Take the time to educate yourself to make yourself better. Don't just listen to me. Don't just listen to another person on YouTube. Don't just listen to your doctor. There's a shit ton of terrible doctors, man. Anyway, Sacred Aesthetics, peace. I hope you learned something. And I'll be making a lot more of these, man. And hopefully soon an inspirational video for motivation for those of you guys that need a little bit of motivation in the weight room. So thanks, and I'll see you guys next time.